Thank you. This is the second time you see me here on this panel here, so I hope this will be the last one too. So just bear with me for a few minutes. These are going to be a very quick and not very well thought out comments regarding the topic of this panel, the Gulf-Indian relationship. Where is it at and where is it heading? And one thing that I don't like about this session is that it is reducing a very rich, diverse relationship between the Gulf and India to purely economic oil trade relationship. And I think that's a great injustice to the very rich and diverse and historical relationship between the two of us. I see that the economic leg of the relationship is flourishing. It's probably the strongest leg in the relationship. Solid, healthy, prosperous, growing by the day, and you will see it and we will all see it growing in the near future. And probably that's what matters the most to the Indian and probably to us too. The figures we have seen in oil and business, etc., confirms all of this. And on this issue of the economic, business, investment relationship, from a Gulf perspective, although we are very happy and we are very positive about it, there is one major concern that needs to be addressed by our Indian partner, and that concern is that the Indian bureaucracy is just too overwhelming. And the obstacles facing Gulf, especially UAE investment in India, has reached high level of intolerance. And something needs to be done about it. It is very frustrating for our businessmen, for our investors to invest in India. And I think they are going through hell trying to deal with this, and this is a real area of concern. I know today there is a meeting between Indian high officials and UAE officials to solve some of these problems. However, having said that, the economic leg of the relationship is very healthy, very strong, very solid, and it will remain so. However, the political leg of the relationship is not as strong. There are many areas of concern, at least from UAE, from Gulf perspective. And I like to take the time to point out at least 4 very quick areas of concern. These concerns are Gulf concerns, and this is how we view the trouble in the political leg of the relationship, not the economic leg of the relationship. Let me briefly just lay them out to you in tweets rather than in big comments. The first concern has to do with the security of the Gulf. To us, security is the fundamental concern. To us, meaning the small states of the Gulf, the Arab Gulf states. If you are in this relationship shopping for oil, we are in this relationship politically shopping for security. That's what concerns us. That's the top political strategic concerns for the Arab Gulf states. And we have always sought an insurance company. And we will pay more than handsomely for insurance company. And that's what America is all about for us, by the way. It's just an insurance company. We live in a very tough neighborhood. Very tough. 3 wars and possibly a 4th war. Live next to some very difficult neighbors. Big, hegemonic, expansionist sometimes. Difficult neighbors. So our security concern is real, It's not manufactured by America or by stooges, whatever, okay? It's real and very day-to-day item for us. A nuclear Iran, by the way, is going to make the neighborhood even much more difficult if Iran ever to become a nuclear neighborhood. As much as we love Iran and we are a neighbor of Iran, but Iran is a difficult neighbor to us, and let's be frank about it. And the Iranian people know this, okay? But a nuclear Iran will nuclearize Gulf security, and that's just a qualitatively different level of Gulf security concern. So the question is to us, where is India in all this? What role India wants to play? What bothers us the most? India is emerging as a regional and probably a global power, but it is remaining ambiguous, purposely ambiguous on this issue. India needs to be more clear, and we have not seen that. That is the first area of concern. It's a very fragile region. You have a lot of interest. We have a lot of concern. India wants to play a role, but it doesn't know how to play that role, and we are not so clear about it. First area of concern. And we want to lay ground for discussion, and that's the purpose of this. Second, India, unfortunately, in its dealing with the Gulf, is repeating the same mistakes that the Western powers have committed so far in the Gulf. Same identical mistake, as though India, which knows this throughout history, is learning from Western books in dealing with the Arab Gulf states. And where is the mistake? India, when it views and looks at the Gulf, sees nothing but oil. And that's a fundamental weakness in looking at the Gulf, dealing with the Gulf. The West, I could understand why they see nothing in that region except for oil. But for India to do the same, that is really tragic. And India comes across, at least, that way too. Blindly, there are people, there are admirations, there are dreams, there are issues. India blindly sees nothing but oil because it needs the oil. And that's, I think, a fundamental approach to the Gulf. We understand India's need for oil, but to reduce a whole place to oil and see nothing but oil is a mistake. The Gulf, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, is more than oil. And unless you deal with us in that respect, and with that in mind, and with that kind of respect, we will always have problem in your dealing with us. And I think this is a timely place and time to remind our Indian friends that the Gulf is more than oil. Third issue, very quickly. The Arab Gulf, the 30 plus million Arabs, Gulf people are first and foremost Arabs. We are part of 320 million Arabs. We share the same concern as our brother Arabs. And as so, we really do not like, we just do not like India's growing relationship with Israel. India's growing strategic, let me emphasize, strategic relationship with Israel. I think we think India used to be different. Used to be different until very late. Used to be different. The old India, the India that we have in the memory, in the heart of 320 million Arabs, the old India cared for Palestine and cared for Palestinians. We don't see that India anymore. Caring for the Palestinian. Caring for the very injustice that have been done to the 6 million Palestinians. We do not hear loud enough, at least, a word at least about the brutal Israeli occupation of Palestine. Palestinian issue has been pushed and behind the rug somewhere, under the rug somewhere. That is very unfitting of India. And that is not setting nicely if you want to build a good relationship with the Arab. Finally, on a very broad issue, on a very, philosophical, whatever issue, very broad issue, many of us have grown to see the idealist India, the more idealist, the non-allied, the Nehru, the Gandhi India. India these days, from the way we see it, is becoming capitalist, self-interest, purely economistic. It's wearing a different clothes that we used to. And I think that more idealistic India is needed. Friends, I think you're forgetting your soul. You're forgetting something very, really rich and deep and made you friends of billions of people around the world. Becoming a superpower, an economic giant is nice and glamorous and, it's needed. But to forget your idealism and to stand for no ideal and to be neutral in Arab Spring and not say a word about the Arabs who are fighting for the noblest of fight for democracy and liberty and freedom. I'm not sure what kind of India you really are projecting. And to us, that's not the India that we are used to. Something very precious in the process have been lost. And I think we see that, and I'm just trying to bring it up to you as a matter of concern and a matter of question in here. So, to be brief, and I don't want to take too much of your time, these are a few thoughts. And I really did not think them through very well. So excuse me, and I do apologize if I've come a bit frank. And that's the purpose, and candid. That's the purpose of this dialogue, Gulf-Indian relationship